Heading over, check on Johnny. Tired. Get my seatbelt on. Driving that train, high on cocaine. This was my spinner as a kid. My butterfly knife. I'll show you how to do the easiest open with the butterfly knife. Just real easy. It's hard to do in the car because I got all this shit right in my face, but all you do is, well, I like double edge, but this is a single edge. So if you're just learning how to do it, you probably want to hold your hand like this so that this part is what's going to hit your hand, and you're just going to flip it down like that, and then flip it over like that, and then come straight back up. See, like that. Just flip it up. It's hard to do in here because I got a damn steering wheel and stuff, but it's, you just, see, instead of going down and letting it hit, and going like this and letting it hit and coming back up, I'm just doing it, one fluid motion. I used to be able to spin them between my fingers like drumsticks, but I don't mess with them like I used to. But that's my weapon of choice for sure, butterfly knife. I used to carry right in front of my hip in my pant, my blue jeans. That's where I used to carry it. Used to practice pulling it out and flipping it out, seeing how fast I can get it out. I mean, over on the east side anymore, a knife's pretty much useless. Everybody's packing pistols. But if I get caught with even a bullet, go to jail, go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Even one bullet will get me 5 years across the board. No good time. Convicted felon in possession of a firearm. That counts for ammunition too. A convicted felon in Missouri, though, we can use a black powder gun and we can use a bow. And I'm actually a pretty damn good instinct shooter with the compound bow. I don't use sights or peepholes or nothing, and I can hit pretty consistent and pretty accurate at about 30 feet, 40 feet with the bow. And technically on the Illinois law, the books, it still says that when somebody's released from prison in the state of Illinois, they're supposed to get a $5 coin, they're supposed to get a saddle, and they're supposed to get a shotgun upon release. It's just an old law that they haven't changed it on the books. I mean, if you say, where's my gun, my $5 coin, and my saddle, they're gonna laugh at your ass, but it's technically still on the books in Illinois. At least it was when I did my time. They got a lot of weird laws on the books in some places. If I was going to have a gun, though, for home protection, that's what I would have, is a shotgun. 12-gauge shotgun. As little as our house is, all you got to do is point it in the general direction and you're going to hit them. My stepdad used to take us pheasant, dove, quail hunting, and we had a Brittany Spaniel that would point, flush, and retrieve that my stepdad trained. His registered name was Nimrod's Scout. Nimrod was a hunter in the Bible. He was a good bird dog. But yeah, if I can, when you're bird hunting, you don't shoot them on the ground. The dog gets them to go up, and you shoot them in the air when they're flying. And if I can shoot especially them dove fly like they're on crack cocaine. They're just all over the place. Pheasant, they go up and they kind of plane out, and boom, that's when I pepper those pheasant. But them little dove, man, they fly like crackheads. You can knock one of them out that's in the air flying, I can most definitely hit a man. I'm a good shot with the rifle. Pistols, not so much. I didn't really mess around with pistols too much. There's a couple times I went by getting a pistol, but I didn't practice much with the pistol. I was always a knife guy. Really, between two men, the way it should be and the way it used to be is it was one-on-one, and when one guy said he was done, the other guy quit, and that was it. You were done. But when I moved over to the east side, I found out that's not the case. You fight to win, and there is no fair fight over there. And I figured, well, that night I got beat by that motorcycle club for putting my nose in business that didn't involve me. It really psychologically affected me, because make no mistake, I was 16 and a half years old. These were grown men, and they all did. That club got raided big time. They had a bunch of murders. They were selling crystal meth, crank, back when it was crank. I don't even know what you call the crap now. And then they were running guns too. And Tommy, the president, he just got out a couple years ago. I don't think he's going to pick the patch up, though. I think he'll probably leave the patch down, but you can look them up on the internet. They were called the Wind Tramps. You had Saddle Tramps over on the Missouri side of St. Louis, and then the Wind Tramps controlled the east side. But they were working over a guy I knew from high school. I didn't hang out with them, but I knew I went to high school with them. And I was real green. 16 and a half years old. I didn't know nothing about motorcycle clubs. I moved over from a upper middle class neighborhood to right next door to East St. Louis. You know, it was a different world. And I didn't think it was fair that he was getting stomped like that in the parking lot. And all I was going to say was, one-on-one, man. And I put my hand on the guy's vest, which was a big mistake. And all I got out of my mouth was, "Hey, man," and I got hit. And I ended up on top of him, hitting him, which was an even bigger mistake. Now his cut has hit the ground, and they took the boots to me. It was the beating of a lifetime. I have never, ever been beat like that before or since. It was bad. And they did not spare me because I was 16 and a half years old. It went on for a long time. It didn't matter which way I went, which direction I tried to go, there was a boot to greet me. And make no mistake about it, there was nothing I could do. I tried. Repeatedly, I tried. And that went on for a while. And finally, I decided, I was praying in my mind. I was like, God, just let them stop. And I'll lay here and I'll play possum and act like I'm knocked out. So I laid there, was taking the kicks, and they started walking away. And one of them said, well, that was easy enough. And I don't know what I was thinking, but something clicked in my brain. Because it's like, I guess it was easy enough, motherfuckers. You're grown men. I'm a 16 and a half year old, and there's like 7 of you. And I got up and hit one of them in the back of the head, and it started all over again. And I thought, this is how I'm going to die in this. I'm going to die in this gravel in this parking lot of this bar. That's how I'm going to die. And I fought the good fight, but I was outclassed, outmatched, and it was over before it started. And the woman that owned the bar, I swear, everybody called her Freddie, and I swear the bitch had a mustache. But Freddie come out with a shotgun, she shot it up in the air, and I heard her say, you get off that boy before you kill him. And they walked away. I heard the kickstands go up and then bikes fire up, and they pulled out of the lot, and then I heard a car pull in. And a guy that was like a big brother to me, Billy Roberts, he says, that Mark? And the car kind of sped up. And Freddie, she's like, sweetheart, are you okay? I wasn't wanting to be a wussy or nothing. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I couldn't see nothing. My head was so swollen. Both my eyes were swollen shut. I couldn't see nothing. And I heard Billy say, you know, what the hell happened? And she said, he got in a fight with the wind tramps. And Billy said, Mark, I told you to fight back, not commit suicide. What are you doing? He said. And I said, I got my ass whooped. And he goes, yeah, you got your ass whooped, but you got balls. Lost one of them that night. Every rib on both sides of my body was either fractured or broken. I had one of my testicles got ruptured that night, and I had a pumpkin head. I could not see anything for like a week and a half. My head was so swollen. And I learned a valuable lesson that night. Especially when it comes, I see guys on the internet, you know, Soast the Ghost, he's got a channel he does, and he tries to educate people about MC culture and the things to do and the things not to do, and I see people comment all the time, I'll do what I da. Well, okay, you go ahead and you say that. You go ahead and say that. Because this club that beat me and that had a bunch of murders under their belt, they were a particularly brutal bunch of dudes. And they were not 1% diamond patch wearers. They made a believer out of me. It's one of the hardest lessons I ever learned in my life. Number one, mind your own damn business. And number two, don't get involved in MC business because you're going to get yourself hurt. I don't care who you think you are, you're going to get yourself hurt. They don't play around. Now, those same guys were really good to me down the road later on. But I was telling my buddy Bobby, his Aunt Patricia, I was telling her the story about that night. The name of the bar was the Nightlife, but not N-I-G-H-T, it's K-N-I-G-H-T, Nightlife. And I was telling her about that because she kept always telling me, you look so familiar. I know you from somewhere. And then she said, what bars did you used to hang out in? I said, well, the main ones, you know, were the Top Hat, the Water and Hole, and the Nightlife. And those are all real big biker bars. And she said, she goes, I gotta know you. Well, about a year and a half after that, we were chatting on Facebook, and I told her about that night at the Nightlife. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, now I know where I know you from. And I said, where? And she goes, you're the boy that would not stay down. I said, oh, I only got up once. And she goes, no, they used to talk about you all the time. Because she used to date one of the officers. But they broke up about the time that I got beat real bad. And she said they talked about you all the time. That's what they called you, the boy that would not stay down. And later on, they were good to me. They taught me a lot of stuff that helped me survive over on the east side. But I don't get involved in MC business. Me and a buddy were riding one day, and I seen a whole group, a whole club go by. I'm not going to say the name of the club. I saw their cut, though. I know who they were. And we stopped to get gas, and my buddy goes, man, I was thinking about riding up in there with them. And I said, dude, that's the last thing you want to do. They got a guy waiting for somebody to pull some dumb shit like that. You are not going to get a kind response if you try to ride up into an MC's group while they're riding, try to ride up in there with them. Number one, they don't know you. They don't know how you ride. You could be somebody in another club that's a threat to them, but they don't know how you ride. If you're riding in a pack, and usually the one percenters, they fly in formation like jets. I mean, there'll be two to the lane, you know, two wide, two long rows of two, and they will be doing 100 plus miles per hour. I mean, they roll out. And if you're in a group and you're tight like that, rolling down the highway, and you mess up, you could take a lot of them down with you. And I would not want to be you if that would happen. But they got somebody waiting for you to try to pull up in a group of MC motorcycle clubs group when they're rolling down the highway. What I do is I get over, if I got to get over into the slow lane so they can pass me, I move over. It's real simple. Do like you do in a car. But you don't try to ride up in that pack. I mean, I have been around a lot of different club members my whole life since I was like 16 and a half. And if you don't have that patch on your back, you are not their brother. Their brothers, that club, that cut that's their family. And you could be a friend that grew up with them. But once they got that cut on their back, their brothers come first. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. The best thing to do, and like if I see a bunch of club members up in a bar or something, you know, I don't go up talking and running my mouth. Sometimes say the least you say, the better. But if I know him and say he's talking to one of the other guys in the club, I wait till he's done talking. That's his brother. If I come up talking to him while he's talking to his brother, that's disrespectful. Because I might be a friend of his, but I am not his brother. And there is a huge mountain of difference between friend and brother. Brother carries a lot of starch, that word does. But, yeah, if you ain't got that cut on your back, when they're talking to another member of that club, stay the fuck back. Let them talk. If you got something to say to one of them, say it whenever he's not talking to one of his brothers. He might like you and think you're a good dude, but his brothers come first. And they might be talking about something that's none of your damn business what they're talking about too. So just good advice, you know. But like I told my buddy, you know, come to think of it, that's the same guy. He don't come up with very good ideas. Before I went to Arizona, he was talking and he said, man, you know what we ought to do? I said, what's that? He said, we ought to go out in the country and hit some of these farmhouses and shit. He said they're so spaced out from other houses, and I said, you have fun with that. My great grandma and grandpa were as country as it gets. They had one pair of store-bought clothes. That was their Sunday going to meeting clothes. Come on. And come on over, dude. I'm flashing my lights at you. Got your blinker on, jackass. Jackass? Okay, I'll go then, motherfucker. Watch, now it'll come over into me. Got your blinker on. The little lights aren't blinking, Clark. But, you know, just, you don't get involved in their shit. Cost me my nut, and every rib of my body was broken. Like I said, later on, they were good to me. I guess they respected me because I did try. And Richie, the guy I jumped in to help, all his friends, he had like 4 friends with him that night. They all ran, and they were smart for doing so. They were very smart for doing so. He was mad at him about it. And I told him, I said, Richie, you can't be mad at them about that. You know, whenever I got involved in it, they got off you and they got on me, and you got your ass out of there. So number one, you're being a hypocrite. Number two, they did the right thing. Could have got themselves killed. Because I thought for sure I was going to get beat to death that night. And it did. It changed me psychologically. I started carrying knives on me because I figured before I'm ever in that position again, where I'm literally at somebody else's mercy whether I live or die. And let's not sugarcoat things here. I was at their mercy whether I lived or died, and there was not a damn thing I could do about it. And that psychologically affected me. That's when I started practicing with knives and carrying knives and getting good with knives, because I figured before I'm ever beat like that again. It's a horrible feeling fighting as hard as you can and knowing that the only reason you're alive is because they chose not to kill you. It's a helpless feeling when you're in a fight like that. And I started carrying knives. I figured there's a handful of people in this world that I trust that if we get into a fight and I say I'm done, there's a handful of people I trust enough to quit. Everybody else, if it gets to the point where I can't breathe, or whatever, when it comes to staying alive, I would rather ask forgiveness than permission every day of the week. And that's why I started carrying knives. I figured if I'm ever in a position like that again, I'll stab up a couple people and try to take somebody with me. It really changed my way of thinking. Up until that point, the way I grew up, if two guys couldn't get along, you met somewhere and you fought. And if you were winning and the other guy said he was done, you stopped. You didn't keep going on him. You stopped. But whenever I moved over to this side of the river over here, on the east side, there is no rules. There are no rules whatsoever. You fight to win. East St. Louis is one of the most violent cities in the country. They go by per capita. For every 100,000 people, how many people get murdered? And that's how you get your murder rate. But yeah, that night changed me. That's what I mean. When it comes to staying alive, you do what you got to stay alive, and then you worry about the consequences later. It's better to ask forgiveness for what you did than to ask permission to defend yourself and your life. Do what you got to do, and you worry about the consequences later. If I had my way, I'd never be in another fight as long as I live. I would never hurt another human being as long as I live. It's not in me no more. It's not who I am. I'm kind of like live and let live, Do no harm, but take no shit. And I got emphysema and COPD. I get winded coming up the basement steps. And anybody that's done even a little bit of fighting knows that if you ain't got no cardio, it's over before it starts. You can hope you get a lucky knockout punch and a few swings, but if you ain't got no cardio, it's done game before it even gets going. And before I'm going to let somebody stomp me to death or try to take my life, I will take theirs. Like I said, there's only a handful of people I trust that if I said, hey, stop, I'm done, they would actually stop. That's the way I feel about it. But yeah, that night, all the bars I used to hang in whenever I come back from Arizona, they were all parking lots or Metrolink bus or Metrolink train stations. They tore every damn one of them down. Every one of them. take 157. Yeah, they tore him down. The one bar I used to work the door, and Tommy Malaire, he was a bouncer there. He was the main bouncer at Elderberry's there, and I'm telling you, at least once a week there'd be an ambulance at that bar. Somebody get messed up. I was just back up on the bounce, and I collected money on the way in the door. Tommy Malaire, he had me laughing one night. I still use that joke. I mean, this is a big dude. Probably, he's over 300, probably 340 pounds, 6'2", big beard, long hair, big burly biker dude. And his voice was real raspy like this, you know. That's how Tommy talked. And we're sitting at the bar one night, and he goes, "Hey, little brother." I said, "What's up, Tommy?" He goes, "I got something to tell you." I said, "What, man?" He goes, "I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body." And at first I'm thinking, what the fuck is he talking? And then I got the joke, you know, and I started laughing my ass off. So I use that nowadays. I'll say I'm a lesbian trapped in a body, in a man's body, because it's my way of letting people know, you know, I don't judge on that kind of shit. I believe live and let live, and people should be allowed to do what they're going to do, what works for them, as long as you're not harming anybody else, especially children. At my cores, my whole life, children have always been the main thing. You don't hurt children. If one of my kids would hurt a child, I'm talking hurt a child, I'd cut him out of my life. My own flesh and blood. I try to be a forgiving person, you know. I want to be forgiven for things that I've done wrong. But that's the one thing that I just can't. Somebody abusing a child, somebody molesting a child, you're not part of my life no more, because I'll cut you loose. I've done it a couple times. And Johnny, I was up all night long. He was supposed to come by. He's outdoors. Ain't got no place to live right now. I told him, I said, "You stay here, bro. All my brothers fucking got a place, you know. It might be the recliner, but it's a place to lay your head. You can eat, whatever. You're my brother." And then he never showed up last night, and I was waiting up for him. I tried texting him, didn't get no answers. And I shot Shane a message, asking if he'd heard from him. He said no. And then I got a cryptic message from him. I mean, we always kind of speak in code anyways, but this shit was way off the wall. He's looking at going back to prison. Well, he's definitely going back, because his lawyer said, you know, they're offering him double digits. They ain't going no lower. So, you know, he's pushing 60 years old. He's going back double digits. And the way our health is and everything else, that could be a life sentence to him. And he doesn't really have a damn thing to lose, so I'm gonna try to figure out where he's at, hunt him down, If he's not stable, get him stable. I don't need no friends suiciding by cop or doing anything stupid like that. I've lost too many. And Johnny matters to me. He's not a friend, he's a brother. So, I don't know. But yeah, the message was cryptic as hell. I couldn't make sense out of it. I like the Singa about the moon and the Juna and the Springa. I like the Singa about a sky of blue or T42. I love it to sing. She said I'm gonna hire a wino to decorate our home, so you feel more at ease here. And I know, everybody say, what did you do with the money? And whenever I say, what money? You're supposed to say, the money I gave you for music lessons, you know, singing mofo. I just noise people. When we were out in Arizona, I met this guy, Tanel. And him and his mom were from St. Louis. Well, his mom invited me and Amy over for a barbecue at their house. And it was the first time I ever met her. And she had this badass karaoke machine. And we were barbecuing. She called to me. She said, Tanel said you're from St. Louis. What part of St. Louis you from? I said, I lived over on the east side. She goes, sweetheart, I'm black, and I don't even go to the east side. I said, well, that's where I lived. And then because I got a bassy voice, for some reason people thinks that equals I can sing, and I can't sing at all. I love music. I feel it spiritually. And I've got a song for damn near anything. When I'm having you can ask Harvey Talks Prison this. When I'm having a conversation with somebody, almost everything they're saying to me is making a song pop in my head that relates to that, you know? And so I love music, but I have no musical talent whatsoever. I started playing acoustic guitar, but my brother Kenny was messing with me, saying, can't you play nothing else? Because I only knew like 5 melodies at the time. I was just learning, and I busted that acoustic guitar over his head. There goes my acoustic guitar. And I played clarinet for 1 year in grade school, you know. But, yeah. She had this real nice karaoke machine. And she said, she kept trying to get me to sing. And I kept telling her, I cannot sing. Well, finally, I get enough beers in me. And I can't remember exactly what I sang. But I sang my heart out. I gave it all I had. I just sang my heart out. I got done singing, and she come up to me and she said, sweetheart, you have got a voice that will make a young lady moist. She said, but don't ever sing again. You just noised everybody. And I said, I told you I can't sing. And she goes, I know, darling. And now I believe you. I sang my heart out, too. I was just singing my heart out. I can't remember what it was. It was something country where the singer had kind of a bassy voice. But yeah, I know, darling, and now I believe you. Yeah, she was pretty cool. Tanel was cool too. They were from over on the Missouri side. People from East St. Louis call people from the Missouri side of St. Louis Jimmies. So they call them Jimmies. Well, East St. Louis is extremely brutal. Extremely brutal. Well, I'm going to have somebody slap me and wake me up. I keep feeling like I'm going to fall asleep. And I do not want to do that while I'm driving. That will not be good for our hero. But, yeah, I'm tired. See, I just said I'm tired, and it reminded me of that Madeline Kahn singing that song in Blazing Saddles. I'm tired of playing the game. Ain't it a crying shame? I'm so tired. I've been with thousands of men again and again. They promised the moon and the stars. Boy, that movie wouldn't fly nowadays. Blazing Saddles, people be losing their minds. Even though they make more fun of the white people in that movie than anybody, they're all named Johnson. Their last name's Johnson. They're all related and shit. Howard Johnson is right. He wore a blazing saddle. He wore a shining star. His goal to offer battle to bad men near and far. Well, he conquered fear and he conquered hate, turned dark night into day. He wore a blazing saddle, a torch to light the way. He roamed from town to town, gunning people down, crackling crotch. Crackling crotch, go ahead, dude. But I'm gonna hop off here. I gotta get to hunting. Try to find Johnny. Worried about him. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Much love and respect. Don't let your meat loaf, and may all your ups and downs be in your bed. Peace out.